In the heart of a small village called Asokro, where the red earth met the singing streams, Amina lived with her husband Kojo. They were not rich, but their hearts were full. Together, they farmed, laughed, and dreamed beneath the wide African sky. Each morning, Amina rose before the first rooster's cry. She fetched water in clay pots, humming the same old tune her mother used to sing. Kojo would sharpen his cutlass and smile at her, saying, "Even the sun wakes late just to see your face, Amina." And she would laugh softly, her eyes glowing like embers in the dawn light. But as the seasons changed, so did Kojo. The village had begun to change too. Traders came from the city, carrying radios, mirrors, and stories of wealth. They spoke of men who left the farms and returned with fine clothes and new houses. Kojo listened more and more. He began to dream of a life beyond the soil, beyond sweat and dust. Amina saw the restlessness in his eyes, like a storm gathering behind a calm sky. One evening, as they sat by the fire, she said softly, "Kojo, what troubles your heart?" He looked into the flames and sighed. "Amina, I am tired of this life. I want more. Gold, respect, a name people remember." She touched his hand. "And what will you give in return for all that?" "Just time," he answered. "Only time." But she knew nothing in life ever comes without a price. Days turned into weeks. Kojo started spending less time in the fields and more time at the village square, listening to strangers who promised quick fortune. They spoke of charms that could summon wealth, of rivers that hid spirits who granted men's desires. Amina begged him to be patient. The gods reward those who till the soil with faith, not those who chase the wind, she said. But his hunger had already taken root, and one dawn, before the birds began to sing, Kojo was gone. All that remained was his old hoe, leaning against the wall, and a note scribbled in haste. "Do not wait for me, Amina. I will return when I have enough for both of us." She read it 3 times before the tears came. They said the road to the city was long, but her nights were longer still. At first, Amina tried to fill her days with work. She tilled the land alone, carried baskets heavier than her shoulders, and sang to herself so she wouldn't hear the silence. But as the months passed, the world grew quieter. The neighbors stopped asking about Kojo. Children stopped visiting her hut. And soon the whispers began. Cruel, sharp whispers carried by the market wind. "Her husband has found another. She is cursed. A woman whose man leaves her must have angered the gods." Amina said nothing, but when the sun dipped and the sky bled into darkness, she would walk to the river with a small calabash in her hands. There she would pour her tears into the water and whisper his name, "Kojo, Kojo, wherever you are, remember me." The villagers warned her never to go near the river after sunset. They said spirits walked then, ancient ones who took the shape of mist and shadow. But grief makes people fearless, and Amina's heart no longer feared anything, not even death. Each night, she returned to the same spot by the old silk cotton tree. Sometimes she thought she saw shapes in the mist, faint figures dancing on the water surface, their eyes watching her. But she kept praying, whispering the same words again and again, until her voice broke and her tears ran dry. "Please, River Mother, carry my cry to wherever he is." One night, after many moons, something changed. The air grew cold though it was midsummer. The river, usually restless, became still, like glass. And from that stillness came a soft hum, like a woman singing beneath the water. Amina froze. The song was sorrowful, yet strangely familiar. The same lullaby her mother used to sing when she was a child. She stepped closer, her feet sinking into the wet earth. The water shimmered faintly, and in its reflection, she thought she saw another woman, one who looked just like her, but older, sadder, with eyes that glowed silver. The voice rose, gentle yet commanding. "You have called long enough, child of dust. Why do you weep into my waters?" Amina's breath caught, "Because I have lost what I love most. My husband, he left me for the promise of riches." "And you seek to bring him back?" asked the voice. "Yes," Amina whispered. "Even if he no longer loves me, I just want him home." The reflection smiled faintly, a smile that both comforted and frightened her. The river listens to those who cry from the heart, but every gift carries a cost. Do you accept it? Amina hesitated, but her longing was stronger than her fear. "I accept it," she said. The water rippled. A soft wind blew through the trees. Then the reflection faded, and the river began to whisper her name. "Amina, Amina." And for the first time in many months, she felt a strange peace settle over her. That night, she dreamt of Kojo. He was standing by the river, calling her name, his face pale, his hands trembling. Behind him, shadows moved, tall, silent figures whose eyes glowed faintly blue. He reached out to her, but the current pulled him away before she could touch him. Amina woke with a scream. The sound of rushing water echoed outside her heart. When she stepped out, she saw that the river had risen higher than usual, brushing against the roots of the old silk cotton tree, as if it had crept closer to her home while she slept. The villagers said the river never rose this high, except in the rainy season. But the skies had been dry for weeks. Amina's heart pounded. She took a step back, clutching the calabash she always carried at night. Then from the darkness, a figure appeared, old, stooped, carrying a staff carved from baobab wood. It was Nana Ifua, the oldest woman in Asokro, keeper of the village's ancient stories. "Amina," she called softly, her voice trembling with both age and fear. "You've been calling to the river, haven't you?" Amina's lips parted, but no sound came. Nana Ifua's eyes, clouded but sharp, reflected the faint blue glow of the water. "You should have stopped, child." The river mother does not answer freely. When she listens, something must be taken in return. Amina's heart sank. She promised to bring Kojo back. The old woman shook her head slowly. "No, child. The river never promised anything. It only listens. And it always remembers the tears that fall into it." Before Amina could speak again, thunder rolled far in the distance. Though the sky was clear, the river stirred as if it had heard them. Nana Ifua's grip tightened on her staff. "Go inside. Do not step near the water again. The river is awake now, and once it wakes, it does not sleep easily." With that, she turned and hobbled away, vanishing into the night. Amina stood there, staring at the restless current until dawn touched the sky. When morning came, the villagers gathered by the riverbank, murmuring in disbelief. The water had swallowed the lower farmlands overnight. A fisherman's canoe was found broken and floating near the silk cotton tree, as if thrown from the depths below. Some villagers whispered that the gods were angry. Others blamed Amina. "She has angered the spirits," one woman said. "She goes to the river at night," another added. "And now the river comes to her." Amina heard every word but said nothing. Inside, her heart was torn between guilt and stubborn hope. That night, she returned to the river again. The moon was dim, half hidden by clouds, The water shimmered faintly, like a beast breathing in the dark. Amina knelt by the silk cotton tree, clutching Kojo's old cloth, the one he used to wear in the fields. "River Mother," she whispered, her voice shaking. "You said every gift has a cost. Tell me, what is mine?" The air went still. The river's surface rippled once, then again. And from the shadows, the same voice rose, softer this time, almost kind. "Child of dust," it said, "your tears have reached the deep. You asked for your husband's return, and so he shall come. But remember, not all who return come as they left." Amina's breath trembled. "I don't care. I only want to see him again. Then so it shall be," the voice answered, fading back into the water. A chill ran through her body, spreading from her feet to her chest. The river had gone silent again. Amina stood up slowly, her heart heavy but oddly calm. She turned toward her hut, unaware that the trees around her were whispering softly, as though warning her. 3 days passed. The river receded, and the villagers rejoiced. They believed the danger had passed, though they still avoided Amina's hut. She spent her days weaving mats and listening to the wind. Then, one evening, just as the sun sank behind the hills, she heard a knock at her door. 3 knocks, slow, heavy, familiar. Her heart skipped. She rose from her stool, trembling, and pushed the door open. There, standing in the fading light, was Kojo. His clothes were torn and soaked with mud. His eyes, once bright and full of laughter, were dull and far away. He looked thinner, older, like someone who had walked through a storm that never ended. "Kojo," Amina whispered, her voice breaking. He looked at her blankly for a moment before whispering, "Amina." Tears filled her eyes as she rushed to hold him. He stood stiffly in her arms, cold, colder than any living man should be. She pulled back slightly. "You're home now," she said softly. The river kept its word. Kojo said nothing. He looked around the hut as if seeing it for the first time, then sat slowly on the mat by the fire. For a long time, neither spoke. That night, Amina tried to sleep beside him, but she could not. His breathing was strange, shallow, uneven, and every now and then she thought she heard the faint sound of water dripping, though nothing in the hut was wet. When dawn came, Kojo went outside without a word. Amina followed him quietly to the riverbank. He stood there, staring at the water with lifeless eyes. The mist curled around his feet like it was claiming him. "Kojo," she called softly, "come back inside. The river will take you again." He turned to her slowly, his face pale in the morning light. "The river, it calls," he said in a hollow whisper. "It won't stop calling." Amina's head ached. She reached for him, but he stepped backward into the shallow water. "Kojo, please," she cried. He looked at her one last time, and in that moment, she saw tears fall from his eyes. But when they touched the water, they turned into tiny drops of light. Then he was gone. The river swallowed him in silence, as if he had never returned at all. Amina fell to her knees, screaming his name. The villagers heard her cries, but did not come. They watched from afar, afraid. By the time the sun rose fully, Amina sat motionless by the river, her eyes dry, her voice gone. The water was calm again, too calm. Days passed, but she did not speak or eat. Only at night did she move, walking slowly to the river's edge with her calabash in hand. And once again, she began to whisper into the waters, "Kojo, Kojo." But the river no longer answered. The nights grew longer in Asokro. The moon no longer shone as bright, as if it too was afraid of what it saw. Amina no longer spoke to anyone. She wandered the village like a shadow, her calabash always in hand, her eyes fixed on something far away, something no one else could see. The villagers began to whisper again. "She's cursed," one said. "She walks with ghosts," murmured another. But the old woman, Nana Efua, only watched her from afar. Worry etched deep into her wrinkled face. Amina spent her days weaving mats, her fingers moving, but her thoughts lost in the rippling sound of the river. Sometimes she would stop, close her eyes, and listen, not to the world around her, but to the faint echoes that came from beneath the earth. And at night, she returned to the river's edge, whispering his name into the mist. Kojo. The river had gone quiet, but Amina knew it wasn't done with her. She could feel it, like a pulse beneath her feet, like a heartbeat that wasn't her own. One evening, as the sun bled red across the horizon, Nana Efua came to her hut. The old woman's steps were slow, her staff digging into the ground with each stride. "Amina," she said softly, "you must stop calling to him. You're feeding the river your spirit, and when it is full, it will take you." Amina looked up, her eyes hollow. "He was taken because of me. I can't leave him there alone." Nana Efua shook her head, grief shadowing her face. "Child, the dead do not hunger for company. It is the living who refuse to let go." Amina turned away, her voice trembling. "You said the river remembers every tear. Then it remembers mine, and it owes me." The old woman's face hardened. "The river owes nothing. If you keep summoning it, one night it will come for you, not to bargain, but to claim what you promised." That night, Amina sat beside the silk cotton tree again. The moonlight wove through the branches, casting silver shapes across the water. She placed Kojo's old cloth on her lap and whispered, "River Mother, take me to him. I'm not afraid anymore." The air grew cold. The wind stilled. The surface of the river began to ripple, though no breeze touched it. Then a voice, faint but unmistakable, rose from the water. "You have called again, child of dust. Why do you disturb my slumber?" Amina's voice was steady now. "You took him. You said he would return, but you lied." The river's glow deepened to a sickly blue. If you are enjoying this story so far, please click on the subscribe button and like this video. It really means a lot. No promise was broken. He returned as you asked. You only failed to accept what he became. Tears welled in Amina's eyes. He wasn't meant to suffer. He wasn't meant to forget me. The voice sighed like waves breaking against rocks. "Love is a tide, Amina. It pulls, it drags, it drowns. You wished for his return, not his peace. The river merely gave you what you desired." Amina trembled. "Then take me too. Let me go where he went." Silence. Then faint laughter, like the sound of water trickling through stones. "Would you surrender your soul, child of dust? Would you give it freely?" Amina's breath hitched. "If it means finding him again, yes." The water stirred violently now, swelling into a dark whirlpool that glowed faintly at its center. The trees around her bent, their leaves shivering as if caught in an unseen storm. The river mother's voice grew deeper, colder. "Then step forward and be claimed." Amina hesitated only a moment before she rose. But as she did, Nana Efua appeared, breathless, clutching her staff. "No!" the old woman shouted. "You do not know what you're giving away." Amina turned, tears streaming down her face. "He's waiting for me, Nana. I can feel it." The old woman's eyes blazed with desperation. "Then let him wait. You are still of the living, and the living do not belong to the deep." But Amina stepped closer to the water, her reflection rippling beneath her feet. The glow from the river wrapped around her ankles like tendrils of smoke. Nana Efua raised her staff high, muttering ancient words, the same words her mother had taught her to bind restless spirits. The wind howled, the ground trembled, the river hissed as if in pain. "Let her go," Nana Efua cried, but the river only laughed again, its voice echoing through the valley. "She came to me by her own will. Her heart is already mine." The water surged, rising high enough to swallow Amina's waist. Nana Efua lunged forward, grabbing her hand, but the younger woman's skin was icy cold, her pulse faint. "Amina, fight it," she pleaded. "You still have breath. Use it." Amina looked at her with tears in her eyes. "I'm tired, Nana. The river doesn't scare me anymore." And with that, her hand slipped free. The old woman screamed as Amina vanished beneath the surface. For a moment, there was only chaos, churning waves, roaring winds, the cries of the night birds fleeing the trees. Then, silence. The water went still again, smooth as glass. Nana Efua collapsed to her knees, staring into the reflection of the moon, her tears falling silently into the water. But as they touched the surface, they shimmered faintly, and for just an instant, she thought she saw two figures walking hand in hand beneath the river's glow. Then they were gone. The old woman whispered a prayer, clutching her staff to her chest. "River Mother, have mercy." The river didn't answer, but somewhere deep below, it began to hum again, a slow, rhythmic pulse that sounded almost like a heartbeat. And from that night onward, whenever the villagers passed the silk cotton tree, they said they could hear Amina's song in the wind, soft, mournful, and eternal. Seasons passed, rain fell, then stopped, crops grew, then withered. But the river of Asokro, never overflowed again. It slept in uneasy silence, as if it was mourning something only it could understand. No one fetched water from it anymore. The villagers built new wells, far from its banks. Children were forbidden to play near the silk cotton tree, and at dusk, when the crickets began to sing, the elders warned, "Do not linger by the river after dark." The ones who went in still whisper beneath the waves. One morning, Nana Efua sat alone outside her hut, the years finally weighing on her shoulders. Her hair had turned the color of ash, and her eyes no longer saw clearly, but she still felt the river's pulse in her bones. Sometimes she would wake at night, hearing the faint murmur of a woman's voice carried by the wind. "Amina," she whispered one night, "child of dust, what have you become?" That night, she dreamed. She was standing on the riverbank, the moon burning white above her. The water shimmered, not blue, not green, but something in between, like the eyes of someone remembering two worlds at once. And from that light, Amina rose. She wasn't the frightened widow anymore. Her hair floated like smoke. Her skin glowed faintly, as if the river had carved its reflection into her. Her eyes were calm, too calm. Nana Efua fell to her knees. You shouldn't be here." Amina smiled gently. "I'm not here, Nana. I am what remains." The old woman trembled. "Did you find him? Did you find Kojo?" For a moment, Amina's eyes flickered with something, grief, maybe love, maybe both. He was waiting, but not as he was. The river keeps what it takes and changes what it returns. The wind stirred. The river whispered. I begged the river mother to let us rest. Amina continued. She said peace comes only when memory fades, but I could not forget him. And so I stayed. Nana Ifua's voice broke. Then what are you now? Amina turned toward the water. A guardian, maybe? A warning, a story for those who listen. The scene shifted. The old woman awoke suddenly, gasping. The dawn had broken, and the river was calm once more. But something was different. At the edge of the water, lilies had begun to bloom, pale blue, like moonlight caught in a petal. The villagers gathered in awe. None had seen flowers like these before, and every time the wind passed over them, it carried a soft sound, like a woman humming. Children who once feared the river now stood at its edge, listening. Farmers said their fields grew greener again, as if the earth itself had been forgiven. Nana Ifua smiled faintly. She knew the river was no longer angry. Years later, the story of Amina and Kojo became a tale told by fireside, a story mothers whispered to their daughters. They said Amina's love was so strong it softened even the heart of the river. They said her voice still lingers there, calling to lost souls who wander too close to the deep. And when the moon is full, the villagers swear they can see two figures walking hand in hand beneath the shimmering surface, never sinking, never fading. The river of Asokro had learned to dream, and in its dreams, love never drowned. It simply changed its form. Amina's story reminds us that love is powerful, but sometimes our love can blind us. When we beg for what is already gone, we may awaken things we don't understand. The river mother gave Amina what she wanted, but at a price she could never take back. So remember this: some things are meant to rest. Some people are meant to be remembered, not returned. True love is not about holding on forever. Sometimes it's about learning to let go. Let me know what you think about Amina's story in the comment section. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe and turn on post notifications, because the next story I will be uploading is going to be insane and you don't want to miss it. I'll see you in the next one.